Everybody, I'm going to talk about Nebosh Safety, and in this Nebosh Safety we are going to talk about the foundation of health and safety, right? Then in this present topic I'm going to deliberate on, I'm going to talk about morals, socials and economical reason for the health and safety. But in my previous video I've already spoken about the morals and social reason. Then now I'm going to talk about the economical reason for health and safety. Why is it necessary for health and safety? How it can save economically, it can benefit a business or a community, right? So as I proceed further into the economical level, the economic is that the cost to the business of accident and illness, right? So if there is no safety, right, people get ill in every office or facility, then this will lead to cost of money, and it will lead to more cost or expenditure. So basically, apart from the preservations and fines, damage paid as a compensation for any injury to any worker that may result from accidents or unsafe working condition are likely to impact on the motivation and the morals in the working force, and therefore on production levels. Poor business conduct can also be seriously damage and the reputation of a company and long-term financial vulnerability of an organization. This basically means that if there is no health and safety precautions in every organization or community, right? So if most of the staffs or the employees or the citizen gets ill or sick, right, at the end of the day, the employer will have to spend lots of money, right? And that employer also, the economical status of that company will depreciate also because of the medical status. So that's why I mentioned in my previous video that in every facility or business place, the environment, the welfare should be good, and they should have their own basic necessity, wherein this one is more necessary for their health. So in this present discussion that I'm discussing about the economical benefits or the for health and safety, right? If an organizations do not take precautions, right, how to keep their staffs healthy or to keep their community healthy, it can lead to loss of money or high cost, right? The cost of failure in health and safety at workplace fall into two categories. The loss can fall into two categories. We have direct cost and we have indirect cost. So when we're talking about the direct cost, these are measurable costs arise directly from an accident which occur and claim from liability under the civil or the criminal law, right? So like any staff that got injured or under that company, he can also claim for his liability. Then indirect cost also, we are in the company, we have to lost an indirect cost. This cost may arise indirectly as a consequence of an incident and may be significant, like damage to the business reputations. Some of those costs may be insured. For example, compensation to an injured employee, but many will not be. So this simply means that some company might lost because of maybe a vehicle, their transportation, their vehicle, one of them got accident, or maybe like a fire tank, right, got an accident and damaged other people's facility or business. At the end of the day, the owner of those companies, like the truck company, and we run at loss, right? So that's why we are talking about safety precautions, because in safety precautions, if you're looking at the loss also, it can be helpful economically also. Then I'm going further to explain about the roles of national government and international bodies. The roles of national government and international bodies. All countries have their common aim and goals or objective to protect people at work. Most of the responsibility falls under the employer as they provide the work, tools and system. Although workers have the duty, what are the duty of the worker? So I'm going to explain the employee legal responsibility. When an employer employ an employee, what is his own responsibility? According to Article 10 of the R164, that is the International Labor Organization, Occupational Safety and Health Recommendation in 1981 identifies some of the basic duty placed on employer. So, what the employer is supposed to do? 1, the employer is supposed to provide working place and working equipment and use working method which are safe and conducive, and also people will not be at a health risk. Then number 2, employer should provide an appropriate introduction and training. You should make sure that whatever facility or places you employ staffs, they should go through an introduction. That is the preamble training. And also they should have training. All right. Then also, the employer should provide necessary supervision. Then also the employer should put in place all health and safety arrangements and adapt to suit the size and the nature of the undertaking. Then provide any necessary personal protective cloth or equipment free from charge. Then the employer should also ensure that the hours of work do not adversely affect the employee's safety health. This simply means that the employer should put a specific time. If he's going to work for 8 hours, he's supposed to work for 8 hours, not like 13, 14 hours, which can reduce or damage the health system of his employee. Then also, the employer should remove any extreme physical or mental fatigue, something that can make the staffs they get fatigue when they are working, right? Like the environment, working place is very hot and there is radiation all around, so they should take all those things into consideration. Then the employer also should stay up to date with the knowledge in order to comply with the above. So this simply means that if the employer cannot cope up with these laws, it should always try to update its system, how it should treat its staffs, what are the mechanism, the precaution of the staffs, their health, right? Then I'm going to talk about the worker's responsibility or rights. The worker, what are their responsibility? The employee. According to Article 19 of the C155 of the International Labor Organization, Occupational Health and Safety and Health Convention in 1981 stated that individual work and their representative have to cooperate with their employer so that he can fulfill his safety obligation. So I'm going to highlight the responsibility of the worker. In addition to the worker should 1, take reasonable care of their own safety, that of the people who might be affected by the things that they do and the things that they fail to do. 2, comply with the safety introduction and procedures of every organization. The staff should follow these rules and regulations. Then point number 3, use all safety equipment properly and not tamper with. So the staff should always use all their equipment that the employer give them, so they should follow the rules and regulations. For example, if you are working in any gas station, you should wear your safety boots, right? Or you are working you are doing some construction work, you should always put your elements, safety element, and gloves and glass to protect your eyes, goggles to protect your eyes, right? Then point number 4, report any situation which they believe could be an hazard and which they cannot them themselves cannot control. So anything that you see that is suspicious or anything that you see is harmful to your colleague, to your staffs, you have to report to management. Then point number 5, report any work related accident or illness. Anyone that is ill or accident, you have to report that one, right? Then point number 6, the right to provide with adequate information on action the employer has taken to ensure the occupational safety and health. Then point number 7, the right to the necessary trainings in occupational health and safety. People should have the right to train them. Then point number 9, the right to be consulted by the employer on all matter of occupational health and safety related to their worker. Then point number 10, the right to leave a workplace which he has reason to think presently an imminent or serious danger to his life or health, not to compel to return until it's safe, right? So these are the responsibility or the advantage of any worker, their responsibility and their rights that I've already mentioned. Then I'm going to talk about the role of enforcement agency. What are the roles of enforcement agency? Each country has a number of agencies that investigate incidents or enforce laws. That is the enforcement agency, right? Or the fire authorities, or the ETM, emergency team, right? Or insurance company. So these are there. They are there to enforce the laws, right? If a employee is facing some certain situation, they have the right to call upon the insurance company, or the employer also have to make sure that his staffs be insured in case of any emergency. And the employer also should keep in touch with the fire authorities in case maybe there is a fire, or to give update trainings also, or update inspection to his facilities, right? Then we're talking about the consequence of non-compliance. What are the consequences of non-employers of the rules of enforced agency? A breach of health and a safety legislation is usually a criminal offense and may result in heavy fine or even a imprisonment, right? So any impersonation or any infringement of the legislation for health is a criminal offense. In case of a civil liability, an organization or individual may be required to pay compensation for any injury or loss sustained, particularly in the case of negligence, right? So if any negligence, the employer failed to provide some basic necessity which might lead to the employee gets injured, the employer must compensate this employee. So what are negligence? Negligence involve not exercising the reasonable care towards others and cause harm as a result of something you do or fail to do. In many countries, worker compensation is based on proving negligence, that is, sharing the blame or fault. In other countries, no fault compensation system is operated, where negligence does not have to be proven in court. Then I'm going to talk about ISO, right? ISO is called International Standard Organization, but in this topic, it's International Standard and Convention. Most countries have their own laws and enforcement body. Example, the United Nations has lead the way in upholding international standard in health and safety, particularly through the International Labour Organization, that is the ILO. Right? So the ISO is also, this one is the one regulating all health and safety. All company that is producing food items, they should be certified by the ISO, right? But in this topic, the health and safety, particularly through the International Labour Organization, which sets an international standard through the convention and recommendation. The International Organization for Standardized, that is the ISO, has been the main instigator of the quality management and standard. ISO in 9001 and environmental health and safety also, right? So this ISO, they are there to certify every company to make them authentic, their health and safety. So every company must be registered to them, which have a brand. Then I'm going to talk about sources of information. Information on international standard can be obtained from the relevant national regulatory body, which publish the guidance documents which provide information on the legal standard required. Many regulatory bodies have the websites which are vulnerable sources of information. So to conceptualize all this one, international standard and convention is trying to explain, to tell people that the safety of every country or community or companies, they should register their business. They should be certified their health and safety precaution to secure lives, to secure property, to secure the world, right? Because some company can provide some toxic chemical which can affect the whole universe. So because of that, there should be a regulatory system, which is the ISO, International Standardized Organization, that is used to control or monitor these companies which are producing food items, which are producing equipment, which are producing many items. So they need to be certified by this company. So I stop here, and these are basically in this topic, I basically spoke about the foundation of health and safety. So, in conceptualize all this one also, in foundation in health and safety, I spoke before about the nature and scope, right, and the barriers of health and safety. What are the barriers? Like the behavior of people can lead to accidents or misuse of a company facility, or can endanger other people's life. Then also, because of conflicts among people also is a barrier also. Then I explain what is health, right? I explain to health physical or mental condition. Then I explain about the safety. Safety refers to the condition of the workplace, right? This mechanism they put to protect people in this workplace. Then I also highlight about the welfare. Welfare is the employer provide necessary facility when people are working in any community or any offices, that the welfare they have, the basic necessity that will help them to prolong or to keep their health running. Then I also mention about the moral, social, and economical reason for health and safety, right? So you need to have a safety place. In the social aspect, you need to have a safe place of working, then safe plants and equipment. The equipment and the plants in every area should not be toxic, and the equipment you are using should also be in a good status. Also, then you have the safe system, like the computer that you are using to work. All these things should ensure that they are in good condition. Then also training and supervision. You should have a training. Employer should have to train people, and also people should have supervision how they are doing their job. So in the economical term, Economical also, you talking about the loss of company when company don't have safety precautions. Any accidents that occur, they can lose either directly or indirectly. What are the direct one, right? So then also they can lose indirectly, compensation and other things. So I stop here and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.